Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's Garden Life. We're going to take it little bites at a time. I think that's the best way to consume January, is little bites at a time, or little snacks if you will. So today we're going to talk a little bit about taking exercise in snack size form, digestible bites that you can consume over the course of the day. Not all at once, but whenever you can fit it into your life. I've also been looking a little bit into Tai Chi and some of those slow movements that we can do to really enhance, improve, and prevent like achy joints and damage to all of our moving parts. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about some of my favorite houseplants and houseplant care, namely the ones that I have here. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and then just a couple of maybe befores and afters. So what do you say, Stuart?
I say we do it.
Let's do it. Well, here's another January quick tip. I spoke previously about going through your photo album and designating a certain day. So today is January 19th. So today I'm going to go through January 19th, search for that specific date, and I'm going to cull through all of those photos in my photo library to inspire me, to remind me, to motivate me. And I came across one image from, I think it was exactly a year, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, it might be that.
Today, probably 2 years ago today. And it was right after we moved into the cottage and I was trying to decide where to locate my TV. A lot of you probably remember it was quite a contentious topic.
Opinions, yeah.
What we ended up with was the TV being on this wall. And has glare been much of a problem? No, very, very infrequently has it been an issue, mostly because we only watch this TV at night or seldom during the day. So one of the main reasons I think that it's good to go back through our photo library is because it gives us an idea of how far we have come, where we started and how far we have come, not necessarily how far we have yet to go, which is something that most of us tend to be preoccupied with instead of being content with some of the things we have already accomplished, our to-do list instead of our to-do list. Oh. So there we go. So right here, Stuart, I want you to put that image that I came across in my photo library of the before of this gallery wall. And over time, of course, I've made subtle changes. I've kind of rearranged some of the images. I've added to the things in our gallery wall. I continue to play with the bar chest and things of that nature. A lot of times it depends on if there's a holiday or something. For a while, the Jade plant was over here because the Christmas tree was in the corner. But nevertheless, this, for the most part, is how this wall ended up. Our gallery wall. I wanted a gallery wall before we moved into this house, and I'll be darned if I didn't get one. So, ta-da, it's no longer a to-do. Okay, Stuart will tell you throughout the course of the morning or throughout the course of the day, I reheat my coffee about 100 times. And I put it in the microwave for a minute.
I have a funny story about this.
Yeah, yes, you do. Which we'll share later. But don't get me too off track or I won't do my exercise. So these are things that you can do in those in-between moments when your coffee is in the microwave, when you are waiting for a timer to go off, when you look at your watch and you think, oh, I've got it's 2 minutes till 1, and you've got, 2 minutes to do something. So in those 2 minutes, you can do something like this that uses your own body weight. So you don't need to have any extra equipment at all. You just start doing things that use your own body weight to ensure that it stresses out. I shouldn't say stresses, but really gets your body parts moving. Believe me, I can feel these in my quads. And all I'm doing, I don't even know what these are called. These are just
squat kind of?
Squats or sit down. And that's the other thing. You don't need to know any fancy terminology. You don't have to have a trainer. You don't have to have anything except the motivation to periodically stop what you're doing and do some squats. Now I am really feeling this.
Back to that intentionality.
It's back to the intentionality.
You have to
and I try to go as low as I can. Now, one thing you do want to pay attention to is you want to do them in slow.
Yeah, don't go against gravity. Don't let gravity pull you down.
Right, don't let gravity pull you down. Thank you, Stuart. It's hard for me to think and
That's
exercise
all right.
simultaneously.
I'm here for you.
But what I am paying attention to is I want to do them until I almost can't do them anymore. Now, if you don't have time to do that many, then just stop.
And how cool are you?
How cool are you? Because any is better than none. And remember, you're doing these things over the course of the day. And every time I do something like this, I'm elevating my heart rate and I'm really working those muscles. But do I have to dedicate an entire half hour or... you can tell I'm kind of out of breath.
I was going to say, it doesn't take very many to get out of breath, which is why it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, do I need to change into
something.
my exercise clothing? No. If you have on stretchy jeans, you can probably do these in your stretchy jeans. And boy, that hurts now. Just doing those few. Now, I did some of these yesterday too, so that's probably also why it hurts. But it's not only helping me with my quads, getting my heart rate up, which is a good thing, but it is also helping me with balance. Okay, here's two things that I keep underneath my sink at all times for just these kinds of little January chores, really any time of year chores. And this is one of these mats that folds up. I keep this folded and underneath my cabinet.
I think that's when I shave my beard.
When you shave your beard, yeah. And then you can do this.
Side, right? Yeah.
And you can see how it just kind of snaps together. Now, truth be told, most of the time when I'm just doing this indoors, I'm not using the snaps unless I'm potting something up. I really just want it to protect the surface of my cutting board. So this is my product number one. Stuart, let's put a link if we can. If not, there'll be a link in the description box below. This is my other product that I absolutely adore, so much so that I got two of them, and they are perfect for so many things. I just put them over my sink. It's got this rubberized edge, and I like it because I can use this to clean my vegetables. I can just put my vegetables on top of it, and I can clean them that way. I don't even have to get out another strainer, and it just gives me a little bit more surface area. The other product that you might want to use is some kind of organic indoor fertilizer for your houseplants. Now, I don't want to mislead you. This is really not the time you want to be doing lots of aggressive feeding to your houseplants. I am giving very specific houseplants a very gentle feed. And what do I mean by that? Well, I've got my water pitcher filled with water, and actually your plants will thank you for having your water at room temperature instead of too cold or too hot. So this has been sitting in my sink for a while. And then what I call a gentle feed.
I do that for my orchid.
You do that with your orchid?
It doesn't go green if it's quickly at all if it's too cold or too hot. Like room temperature is where you can tell it really likes it. Really likes it that way.
Okay, so this says, I think it says half of a cup to a cup of water or whatever. I'm not even going to give it that much. I'm going to give it maybe that much, maybe a little teaspoon.
Gone. It's like it never went.
Yeah, it's gone because it's very, very weak. And then I'm going to take something, kind of stir it up a little bit.
Your standard stir stick?
My standard stir stick. Well, I would have had a different stir stick. And by the way, I probably shouldn't have used that because it smelled kind of stinky. Okay, so, Okay, so now I have another bird's nest fern. Or not bird's nest. See, I keep saying the same thing. Rabbit foot fern. I'm getting my animals mixed up. I think it's because they both have two syllables. And in my synesthesia brain, all those words are kind of the same color. Okay, so you can see right here that it has lost some of its foliage, some of its fronds, even though I think it still looks inherently beautiful. I had this in an area that was way too low light, and I needed to move it into an area that got a little bit more exposure. So I have it over here in the corner of the shelf above my stove. It gets the perfect amount of indirect light from the window nearby. Now, This is actually, now that I have given it enough light, it is not unhappy anymore. And you can see it's even starting to put out some new fronds. So whereas the other one had a lot of dense foliage, this one is a little thinner, but look, some of these fronds are brand new. And why? It's because I've been about once a month giving it a very, very gentle feed. So if I am not going to feed it, what I will do is just try to get the temperature of my water tepid. And then I can water it, and you can see all of the water will just run through my drain. Into the drain sink below. Now, if this was a plant where I really wanted to remove any dust on the leaves, maybe the leaves were a bit broader, I may be concerned that dust on the leaves was reducing the amount of sunlight that the plant needed to photosynthesize, then I could give it a shower overall, either in my bathtub or in my kitchen sink. Right now that I've kind of hydrated it, I'm going to come through here and I'm going to give it a gentle feed. And this will thank me for it.
So a little bit of water first, then the feed.
A little bit of water. This is how I do it. Okay. You might even could do it reverse order. This is just how I do it. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit here, run through, and look, and there's another little baby. A little baby frond coming out of that rabbit foot. And now this rabbit foot fern is happier and probably kicking its toes in delight. Okay, this is my exercise snack number one. It's the first snack I have in the morning. I showed it to you in the last video. I do this after I make my bed. And the only thing you need to use is I like having one of these cushiony exercise pads. I don't even know if that's formally what this is. Anything that has some cushion to it. You just find something that's got some cushion to it. It could even be a blanket or something of that nature. The other thing that works pretty well is a rolled up mat. One of those cushiony mats that you use for the shower. You can, if you've got one of those, you can roll that up. Okay, so I've got my mat and I've got my phone. Now I'm going to kick off my slippers. And this is an exercise snack that I want you guys to consume along with me. So why do I need my phone, you ask? Well, because I use it for my timer. So I get down on the floor. I keep this underneath my bed, and when it's time to do this, after I make my bed, I pull it out, and then I say, hey Siri, set timer for 1 minute. Do it along with me, you guys.
Is it burning yet?
A little bit. And you know how you can really tell that you are putting your body under some stress? And that is, by the time I get finished, I think I have raised my body temperature by at least 5 to 10 degrees. Because when I get finished, I am really hot. Now, the beauty of this is I don't need any special exercise clothing. I can do it when I'm fully dressed like I am right now. I can do it in my pajamas. I can do it in my underwear if I so choose. Yeah. But it works really well. That's just for 1 minute. Now, if you can't do 1 minute, then start out at 30 seconds. Start out at 20 seconds. Start out at 10 seconds. Just do as much as you can, and then slowly you can build up your time. Now, the next thing I do, which I have already showed you, but this is a good exercise snack, and this I cheat. So I try to do at least 12 to 15 push-ups every morning, but I don't do it in a completely prone position. Again, try doing this along with me. I do it with my legs bent like this. Notice that now this squishy pad is underneath my knees. And then I end up, I probably changed my audio, but I end up in a child's pose. So that is just a first little mini snack you can do for the day. If I wasn't really trying not to sound out of breath, I definitely would be pretty out of breath. So that is your first snack throughout the day, or the first snack of the day. And it's right here that I then go and have my second cup of coffee afterwards, because I can then kind of reward myself. Okay, when we come right back, I'm going to show you another exercise snack and how I kind of partition them throughout the day. And if you find this helpful, if you find it motivating, then please share it with others who might find it motivating as well. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification buttons, give us a thumbs up, a like, a follow, but more importantly, share it with somebody who might want to take their exercise in small doses. I don't know why I find it more fun to drink out of a wine bottle than out of a water bottle.
It just is.
But it just is. The other thing is I know exactly how much I'm consuming. I try to consume, if possible, 2 of these a day. So I consume it once, then I fill it back up again with my filtered water bottle or filter watered pitcher, and then I fill it back up and I do it again. Now I wish that I was one of those people, that we were those kind of people that had a dedicated exercise room where I could have my treadmill in an area other than the second bedroom, and where I had a place where all of this stuff could stay out all the time, but I don't, and you don't have to have one either. So all I do is I keep some of my exercise equipment, I keep my weights and things in here so that Hubs and I can easily access them. So that at any point in time, and by the way, this is a way you can make yourself feel not so guilty about watching TV. So if you're somebody that likes to watch, I don't know, the Housewives series, I don't even know what they're called, or if you just like to watch Ina Garten, or you like to watch soap operas, or you like to watch too much news, which I'm still not doing, then this is for you. Just get some weights and just have some basic movements that you know to do. You can have a trainer show you these. You can Google them. Now, one thing I can tell right now is while I'm doing this, because of my propensity for golfer's elbow, I probably should have my brace on. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. And then I'm just going to do some of these. Some of these are called this isn't rowing. Rowing, I think, is... I don't know what rowing is. It's probably rowing. But it doesn't matter that you know what it's called. You just do these movement with appropriate, correct form, and you can check that out by just Googling it or having someone show you. And I can just do this at any time of day. If I'm sedentary, if I've been working on my computer, I can get up. As I'm doing this, I am really tightening the muscles in the back of my arm. Yeah, this will help with that underarm flab. These are just 5-pound weights. I could go up if I am really, really feeling motivated.
Pull out the 20s.
Yeah, now again, probably the best thing, in fact, is dress in layers. Yes. Then, okay, Stuart, let's take a moment here. Let's snap.
Okay, so to give me a snap first. Yeah, snap before you go.
Oh, got a snap. There you go. So, as I was saying, You can do these in regular street clothes, but you may find that if you've got a sweater on or something that you really can get kind of overheated. The nice thing about this is it's winter time, and sometimes if I wake up in the morning and I'm really, really cold, even in a heavy sweater like that, I can do one of these exercise snacks and immediately I am warmer. And that will then encourage me to do those kinds of little chores that I might need to do, like take out the trash or go down in the basement and get something where it's really cold. And I've hesitated to do those things because I'm cold. So it's like doing a chore while you're having a hot flash, ladies, that requires you to go outside. It's the same principle. While you're kind of overheated from one of these exercise snacks, that may be when you want to go outside and bring up your trash can, get the paper, do whatever it is you need to do outside or in a place that's cooler. So I've got my weights and I can do this, I can do this, I can do all of these exercises that Johanna, my trainer, taught me in the past. Now, how do I know what they are? Because I took the exercise lift she gave me. I've showed this to you before, and I laminated it. And it's got a guide on here on how many of these I need to do. So you guys could come up with your own fairly easily as a reminder of what exercises you want to do as exercise snacks. So the nice thing about these exercises is that I could take each one of these in isolation. I don't have to do them all at once. I can take each one of these things in isolation as a snack rather than a meal. And over the course of the day, I can just pick up this sheet, I can look at it, I can do that, and I'm addressing all of these different body parts. So this guide right here shows me, Stuart, let's do a screenshot this right here.
I'll take a picture and put it so they can really see it without the glare.
Yeah. And you too can laminate it and you can pick it up because it is just filled with snacks that can keep you full over the course of the day. Well, I'm not a huge houseplant person anymore. I really used to be before I started doing intensive gardening outside. But when I was younger, when I was in junior high, high school, college, and a young adult living in an apartment, I was really into houseplants. Now I'm a little bit more selective about which ones I want to grow, and I've got kind of a short list, but nevertheless, it's an important list to me. And most of the care and feeding requirements are similar for these as for most any houseplant. So number one, you guys correctly pointed out, I kept calling this a bird's nest fern because I had that on the brain. This is actually a rabbit foot fern, and I've got two of them. You can see from whence its name comes. And these are moistened. They are moist but not soggy. And in this space, they get pretty good humidity. So that's basically what they require. They require kind of low indirect light. They don't want to be in an area that's exposed to like a heat vent or too much west sun, something of that nature. You can tell if they are in too much light or if they are drought or heat stressed, if the air is just too dry, because they'll start browning along the edges. I've got two pots in here that were I think they were like 4 to 6 inch hanging pots. I got these at Lowe's. And I just put two of them in this cachepot. And then this, I've got it in a stand so that even though this does not have drainage, nevertheless, sometimes water can seep through this porcelain and it would mar the texture of this table. So I've got it set into a wooden stand that used to hold a glass casserole dish, and the casserole dish broke, but the stand is still very, very useful.
It's a nice stand.
Right, so when I get ready to water them, all I have to do is just take these pots out, take them to my kitchen, water them well, let them drain, and then I just put them back in place. So speaking of that, let's go to my kitchen sink. Now, whenever I look at these ankle weights, it makes me kind of happy sad. They remind me of my dad, and here's why. I got these for him years ago when he lived in Indianapolis, and I was really trying to encourage him to work out more. It ended up being a diagnosis of normal pressure hydrocephalus, and he had to get a stent. But in that process, while he was trying to do some rehab work, really trying to just get stronger, improve his balance and such, I got him some of these ankle weights. In fact, these are the ones that I got for him. And I told him, I said, Dad, just put these under the cushion of your chair, your dad chair, where you sit and you watch TV. You don't even have to move. I said, just while you're sitting there, just do leg lifts. If you're just sitting there watching TV anyway, sometimes I will put these around my ankles while I'm working on the computer or I'm reading. And all I have to do is just raise my legs, preferably not in a mom chair that rolls.
Yeah.
But just raise my legs, and I could do little movements. That adds extra resistance and is weight-bearing exercise, something we all need as we get older. So you might want to put that on that list. Stuart, let's put a link to a pair of these right here. I think these are maybe 5-pound weights. But again, you can just put these under the cushion of your chair if you're somebody who sits a lot or who works at your computer a lot, and you need an exercise snack to keep you going. Well, today's thank you note goes to all of you, my followers, because I asked you about putting a fireplace screen in front of the parlor fire grate in the entry room. And boy, did you guys respond. Interestingly, I think the responses were fairly mixed of the images I showed you, but this is where my thank you comes in. A number of you recommended, they said, Linda, well, why don't you think about trying this fireplace screen in the front room to check it for scale, to check it for color, to check it for its shape, its arch, and things like that. And I thought that's a great idea. So then I know kind of what shape and design I might want. But then someone else said, and it was just like, oh my gosh, why didn't I see that myself? I don't know which one of you it was. There might have been a couple of you who said, Linda, you know, why don't you try it in the front? Because the scale of it really doesn't seem to be large enough for the fireplace in the great room. And when I looked at it, I thought, oh my gosh, you are so right. When I look at this wall, something was always off and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I think you're right. So I'm going to get up and out of the way. And Stuart, you might even stand up if you can and go to behind the couch. Let's see if you can.
I think I can do this.
Yeah, this is a little exercise snack for Stuart. He's walking backwards,
can
which
I do
is
it
a
and
good
moonwalk at the same
can he,
time?
Yeah,
that is the question.
No, I don't think so. Just don't hurt yourself or knock anything over. So when you look at it from a distance, you can see that the expanse of this wall is really large. And now I see that I think perhaps the scale of this is too small for this fireplace wall. The other thing I think that kind of tripped me up is this is pretty heavy. This is heavy wrought iron. And so because its weight matched the scale of the fireplace, or at least the gravitas of the fireplace, I thought, well, maybe it was okay, but it's really not. It needs to be bigger, and I think it probably needs to be rectangular, maybe even
kind of
come off the
edges,
sides. Yeah, fill these edges. So that is my big thank you, a big shout out thank you to all of you who are helping me figure out the dilemma to the fireplace screens, both here in the great room and in the parlor. Now, here is my main category of houseplants that I have told you about ad nauseum that I simply adore. And that is Myrtle topiary. And we are going to put a link to a source for Myrtle topiaries on Etsy. Sometimes you can get them from my friend Angela at Passiflora Kalamazoo, but they're up in Michigan. It's very, very cold there. Sometimes they won't want to ship you this time of year, and you might take that into consideration. What are the weather conditions going to be once these arrive on your doorstep? So plan accordingly. But there is a link that you can, several links actually, that you can order of through Etsy to get these Myrtle topiaries. So you can see that I've got these top dressed in gravel. You can't see it, but underneath this, I've got some mosquito bits to prevent fungus gnats. I really like the way the gravel looks. And you can see that this one is actually pretty happy. Now, unlike the rabbitfoot's fern that I kept in fairly bright but very indirect light, I really want these topiaries, these Myrtle topiaries, to get as much light as possible, and really as much moisture as possible, because you almost can't not overwater them. Now, this is one of those instances where I am intentionally inefficient. I don't try to bring in several at a time. I don't even put them on a tray. I just go in a la like this into my office, and a lot of times I will do this on a day where I'm working in my office, and when my watch tells me, Linda, it's time to stand, then I will stand up, and in a kind of a methodical way I will carry each one of my topiaries. And I'm being intentionally inefficient because I'm not doing a lot of walking outside, so as many footsteps as I can get in the course of a day just inside my house is a good thing. It's an exercise snack, if you will. Now, the other reason that I like to do that is I discovered that one of the reasons I was having problems with my golfer's elbow and even with some of my thumb issues is because I was carrying lots of pots like this that are really pretty heavy. Even this is very heavy given the fact that it's got gravel on it, it's got a sizable root mass, and it's already pretty hydrated. So because of that, I don't do that anymore. I don't want to put the stress on my joints, so I carry them like this, one at a time, and each time I do it, I get a little exercise snack. So now I've got two of them here. You can see, Stuart, I don't know if you can see from there, come over this way. You come over and show them the new growth that's coming out. And when we come back, I'll show how I clip off that new growth and then how I give these a gentle feed. So one of the reasons that I like this watering can, I did get this off of Amazon, is because it's got this long, narrow spout. And
Gooseneck.
Yeah, spout. And it's not only good for watering my plants, but also I can get in and underneath any kind of blooms to refill the pitcher, the vase, whatever, the vase, where I've got fresh cut flowers. Right now, it has plant food in it, so I'm not going to do that. So I've got my Myrtle topiary right here. I'm going to do a little switcheroo. This guy has drained quite a bit. So now when I get ready to trim these, and I've showed you this before, this isn't rocket science, but nevertheless, just because it's January, I do want to show you what I do because myrtles can be fussy. So rule number one, never, ever, 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 ever let them dry out. So I check on these every single day, and probably, and I've already killed one this year. You have a smaller pot, and I've already killed one this year because it got too dry. That's awesome. Probably because it was too close to a heated vent, and with all of that hot air coming down on it, really didn't like that. Okay, so I'm going to snip this just a little bit. Now, typically you're not going to do a lot of pruning on your houseplants and things in the wintertime. You're just going to cut out or take off any dead leaves or dead foliage. But in this case, I really want them to maintain this tight, rounded form. So I'm not going to give them a hard prune, but I've got my joist chin scissors, And I am going to trim off these outliers. And you'll notice that even though I'm trimming them off, I'm not trimming them all the way back to the form because, or the contour, the spherical form, because I do want them, the ball of the topiary, to keep growing over time. So I'm cutting it partially back, but not all the way. So over time, the lollipop head on the topiary will continue to grow. And I want it to continue to grow even in the winter time.
Oh, that was the good one.
Yeah, that was the good one. Yeah. So satisfying, so satisfying. The other thing that you'll notice when you're growing these inside, I've got these in an east-facing and south-facing window, and it gets lots of bright sunshine in the morning and later in the day, and increasingly as the days get longer. But what I am going to do, and what I notice, is that this is true of all of your house plants. You want to continue rotating them so that all sides, all of the entire facade exterior of that lollipop ball gets exposed to the sun. So every day I try to give them kind of a corner turn. And that's a good reason to have some of those little felt dots on the bottom of your pot or on the bottom of your saucer or whatever, so you can easily turn them without scratching the surface of wherever you've got them. I put a towel over this to catch whatever clippings there were.
And that's beneficial, I think. Remind me why it's beneficial to keep the clippings out of there.
Well, just because they turn brown and look ugly.
It's
now,
a look thing.
And if I sometimes don't do that, I can usually go like that, and I can blow them off, but it just makes it a little easier. Now I am going to give this a very gentle feed because I want this to keep putting on some new growth. And these, unlike the rabbitfoot fern that wants to stay moist but not soggy, I don't worry if these guys get a little soggy. Once it starts coming out the bottom, then I just let it remain stationary here, continue to drain, and I move on to my next one. I leave them here for quite a while. Again, if I was not feeding them, I would kind of do this with tepid water. And then I can move on to my next one, and you can see it's got some new growth on it too. Go back to my computer, do a little more work. Let these drain, take them back one at a time, being intentionally inefficient and bringing 2 more replacements in so that by the end of the day, they have all been tended by Mama. Okay, some of you may have been with me when I purchased this fishbone cactus. It almost looks like a fishbone cactus fern to me. I got this at Trocta's. We did a field trip there. You guys saw me buy it, and it has probably almost doubled in size since I bought it. Look at all of these new fronds, and this is the way it grows. And we'll put some information right here. You can get these, you can actually get these online, and we will put a link to these. Look at, it's so fascinating to me. Look at the roots that start coming out of the tips. And if I wanted to propagate this, all I'd have to do is cut it there.
Just come over there about that.
Yeah, okay. Just cut it here or even here, and just submerge it in some sand. And those roots and rootlets would start a completely different plant. I've actually given several starts of this away to different people. So you can see that it's got all sorts of new growth. Why? Because I think it's in absolutely the perfect exposure. It's bright indirect light. So there's all this south sun coming in from the window by my bathtub, but it's not necessarily directly getting on this fishbone cacti. It is just illuminating the surrounding space, and having white walls and a white tub doesn't hurt. So it's very, very happy here. I water it about once every 7 to 9 days, or sometimes I have found that it's also helpful if in the morning when I am after I've made my bed and our water glasses are by each side of our beds, on Hub's side, on my side, sometimes I just take the remnants of those water glasses and I dump it in here or in the topiaries. Now, Stuart, right here, let's put up an Instagram reel that I posted showing this when it was in flower. And you talk about fun, because I didn't really know that this was even going to flower. I bought it much more for its foliage than for its flowers. You can see here, and it did that, by the way, in late summer, early fall, but here is a remnant of one of the flowers. And I think they're beautiful even in a dried state. Almost looks like saffron. And for a while, I took all of the dried flowers and I just had them here in a pretty little dish. And it was really, really beautiful, and it just makes me happy. So this was a great purchase. A lot of times you can get a houseplant, enjoy it for a while, and it doesn't stay with you. It doesn't fully commit to you. This one has definitely committed to me and then some, and I love it. It not only looks good here on this wicker table that belonged to my second mom, but it also would look great on a plant stand outside or in the corner of any kind of living room or whatever. And it is happily keeping company with all of these botanicals, done by my friend Deborah on the gallery wall in my bathroom. When we come back, I'll show you a couple more. Okay, now I not only have topiary in my office, Myrtle topiary, but I also have them here. They bathe with me. It's communal bath time, and they bathe with me in the windowsill. Now, why they love being here is, you can see there's just tons of light that floods through this south-facing window and onto these topiary, and they love it. And you can tell they love it, especially on that one, Stuart. Look at all the new growth it's putting out. And I can tell it's time for that to be watered and given a trim. So I do the same thing with these. I'm intentionally inefficient, and I carry them in one by one. I give them a little trim. I'll give them all a light feed, and I make sure that they are watered and happy. These I have to check even more frequently than the ones in my office, because these get even more direct sun. Now, I know a lot of you will ask, Linda, you've got this big window right by your bathtub. Do you have any privacy at night? Yes, I do. This is a motion operated, remote controlled operated blind that automatically comes down. You cannot see in through it at night. It's a what do they call these, blackout?
Yeah.
It's a blackout blind. So I can take a bath without.
It's been tested. We know.
It's been tested many times. You cannot see in, but during the day, this is wonderful. Now, another benefit to having this south light come in, this strong south light, is these candles in here. You may think that they are battery operated, but no, these are solar powered. So even though these aren't side, Stuart's got a little cough. Even though these are not outside, they get enough light flooding in through here so that they are powered when I bathe at night. And all night long, they stay illuminated without any other kind of battery, just solar charged. And along with these inside, those outside are also powered by the sun. So I have all of these illuminated at night. I don't have to light them. I don't have to turn them on. I don't have to do anything. Compliments of that great big solar ball of fire in the sky, they just automatically come on. Here's kind of a behind the scenes, in between shots, bit of trivia, and that is, in between almost every shot where we move from one location to another, Stuart, who is very, very fascinated by science, is always sharing a little tidbit, some little scientific factoid in between. So it's kind of endearing, and it's also very, very educational. So lastly, I want to show you my jade plants. This is a crassula, or rippled jade. I absolutely love this. It's used outdoors. I first saw it in some Instagram feeds from Australian gardeners. I love it. I can't even remember where I got this one. I've had it for years. Most of the time it's outside, but obviously I have to bring it in the winter time, and it is pretty happy also living in the bathroom with all of this bright indirect light. I don't have to water it real often, maybe once every 2 weeks, and even then I don't drench it. It does drop a few leaves now and then, but that's okay, because if it does, then I can get a little exercise snack by bending down and picking up those, do you hear my knees creak?
Yep.
And picking up the little leaves. Now here's another tip. I find that as we get older, it's just so easy to tell someone else to do that for us. So I notice a lot of times Hubs will say, oh, can you get that? Can you crawl under that table and get that? If you've got kids at home, you might do the same thing. Well, every time you are getting down on your hands and knees, and you are getting up off of the floor, you are getting a little exercise snack. So practice, that's one of the best things you can do as you get older, is practice getting down on your hands and knees, and then practice getting back up. Extra point if you can do it without putting your hands down. I didn't want to humiliate myself or embarrass myself by you guys watching me get up without putting my hands down. But that's another thing. All of those things that seem to be little aggravations, think of them as little exercise snacks. Now let's go into the great room and we're gonna finish up, and I want to show you the Jade, king of the mountain. Now obviously, you guys, I could use a dustbuster or a broom to pick up all of these leaves that are falling off of my Jade plant, but I am getting good abdominal exercise by bending over and straightening up again without falling or toppling over, because my abs have to be really engaged to bend over and stand up. Now, this plant is just absolutely gorgeous, but it's not necessarily happy here. Why is it not happy and dropping some leaves? Well, it's because I just moved it around too much. It didn't like it. So you may recall that this is where I had a Christmas tree over the holidays. Consequently, this is very, very heavy, by the way, and Stuart helped me move it over to that corner. Then I moved it back over here. It did not like being moved. It did not like being in that warm corner. And now this is kind of a cold corner over here. And it's got a little bit more of a draft. And it's had to really adapt to these different conditions. So it's got some leaves that are dying and falling off, and I'm having to clean up after it, but not so much that it makes the plant really unsightly. Now, it's doing that because I moved it and it is still adjusting. It would have been better had I left it here and not moved it at all, and probably that will inform my decision next year on what I do with it. The other thing is, it's probably not getting quite enough light because this is a north exposure, so I didn't want to leave it over there away from the window for too long, even though it's getting kind of a cold draft right here. But I think ultimately it will be fine. I don't overwater this, and I think in short order it will get happy again. It doesn't like, as I said, the cold, but it does need the light coming through this window. And as the days lengthen, it will get more light over the course of 24 hours. So I think ultimately it will be happy and fine in this location. I got this at Calvert's. I got this at Calvert's when we went to visit my friend Phoebe. We took a field trip there. If you guys want to watch this video, then go back in time, Stuart. Maybe you can find it and put a link up here, and you can see that I got a really mammoth one. And my son Jamer, last time when he was home for Christmas, he said, "Mom, where did you get that? I want one." And I said, "Well, we will get you one, but we're not going to get it in the throes of December. And you can't carry it on a plane." So there you go. That is my houseplant tour, exercise snacking for today. You can do these things in January. We really have to be creative to think of things that we can do. And obviously, you can still get outside. There's no bad weather. There's just inappropriate clothing. But I have to say, yesterday I took that as a little challenge, and I got out and I walked to Pearl Mesta Park, walked around the park, and about froze my little fingertips off, even though I was dressed appropriately. I think it was about 13 yesterday. So, so if you're like me and you're a little bit of a wimp, then you just do what you can. Get your exercise snacks in throughout the course of the day. I promise you, they are not fattening. They are very healthy, and they will make you feel satisfied, and you'll know you've done something good for yourself. You guys take care.